Week 11 of the 2025 season is officially here, and this week we have some awesome games we have to talk about. So in today's video, I want to go over every single game of week number 11 and give you guys my predictions and analysis of each game. Subscribe and like the video if you guys do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. And we are going to begin on the left side of your screen, the New York Jets facing off against the New England Patriots. So to the best of my knowledge, it has not been revealed if Fields or Tyrod Taylor will be the starter. I'm going to assume it's going to be Justin Fields, but either way, it does not really change my answer too much. When it comes down to it, Justin Fields nor Tyrod Taylor are better than Drake May. Drake May is simply playing at an all-time level for his young career. He's playing at an incredible level. He's one of the MVP frontrunners right now. I think it's him, Stafford, Mahomes, and a few other guys. But May is definitely amongst that group. The Patriots have not messed with their food the past couple weeks. Ever since they've gone on this win streak from the Bills game, they have handled these bad football teams, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do in this game. The Jets are playing better, but realistically speaking, they won last week because of special teams plays and just straight up being lucky. And going up against Cleveland, that always helps. New England's a good football team. They're going to win this game. I don't think it's particularly close. I think we get a nice, good game here from the New England Patriots, a game in which they win by double digits. Give me 27-17 in favor of the Patriots. Next up, let's talk about the Washington Commanders going up against the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are quietly figuring things out. We saw them last week in a rainy, slippery condition game versus the Buffalo Bills. Dismantle them. I mean, they dominated the Buffalo Bills, which is something that I never thought I would say. The run defense has been a lot better. They got some corners back who are playing pretty good. Rasul Douglas, Juju Brent. The defense is figuring some stuff out. Also, Jordan Brooks is playing at a very high level too. And on the offensive end, they're running the football decently, and Jalen Waddle's playing good. Now, they still have turnover issues with Tua. The offensive line still stinks, and they're not a perfect defense by no means, but they got some things figured out on the defensive and even the offensive side of things. I think if the Dolphins can go on a bit of a stretch here of winning some games, McDaniel might be able to save his job. I'm not saying he will, but the changes we've seen from this team, the growth from this team, I think it's given me a little bit more hope about this team's future, more so than what it was earlier in the season. With that said, in this game versus Washington, you're going up against a limping Washington football team. Let's be honest. Right now, Washington, without Jaden Daniels, with all the injuries on the offense, with some of the pieces on the defenses and their sharp decline, this is not a great Washington football team. They're not great on offense, especially without Jaden Daniels, and they're not good on defense. The secondary is not great. The front four can't get pressure by themselves, and the offense, without their star quarterback, is really going to struggle to move the football, especially running the football, because the Miami Dolphins have figured some things out run defense-wise. So because of that, I think the Miami Dolphins are going to win this game. I know Miami's 3-7, and I know they've looked so bad at so many parts of the season, but it feels like there is some new energy to this team, like they're actually trying, like they actually care. So I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins to win this game. I think they win this one comfortably too. As long as Tua can avoid having multiple interceptions and turnovers, I think they'll be fine. So give me the Miami Dolphins to win a relatively low scoring game. I'll say 24-18 in favor of Miami. Next up, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers going up against the New York Giants. So Brian Daboll just got fired, and from what it sounds like, it does appear like Jameis Winston will be the starting quarterback this week for the Giants, not Russell Wilson, not Jackson Dart. I believe it'll be Jameis, which I 100% think is the right thing to do. Russell Wilson has not been good this year. No reason to get him out there just to get booed. And then Jackson Dart has had so many concussion issues so far this year that it would make sense to just let him relax for a game or two. So Jameis goes out there, and look, the Packers have a really good defense. I don't think Jameis will find a ton of success out there. You're going to find Micah Parsons and that defense pissed off. I'm sure they're going to get after the quarterback quite a bit. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of Cowboys fans turn on Micah Parsons and calling him trash. Guys, give me a freaking break, okay? I know he doesn't get a ton of sacks, but he gets like 15 pressures a game on these guys. Like, he's a superstar. Can we calm the fuck down on Micah Parsons, okay? Chill, he's good. Anyways, the Packers offense has been up and down, but the Giants defense has been horrendous. I think the Packers win this football game, and I think they win it quite comfortably. Although, with that all said, the Packers have played down to their competition a couple of times this year. They lost to Carolina. They lost to the Cleveland Browns. I think the Giants have a chance to win this one. But without Scatterbo, without Jackson Dart, without Malik Neighbors, and with how bad that defense for New York has been, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers to win this one. I think the Packers put it together this week. I think they get a big-time win. Give me 30-10 in favor of the Packers. Next up, let's talk about the Houston Texans going up against the Tennessee Titans. So I promise you, so far the games have been kind of cheeks, but it does get better the further we go along, so just kind of bear with me here. Texans, Titans, Texans should win this football game. Now, I don't know if Stroud's going to go win this one because of some injuries issues, but if Davis Mills is out there, I think Davis Mills is totally fine and can definitely win this game. But obviously, if Stroud is able to go and is playing in that one, then that even favors Houston that much more. Regardless of quarterback, though, we know the Texans are not a great offense, but they're a fantastic defense. I mean, just simply put, fantastic. And the Tennessee Titans, for all the issues they have, are one of the worst offenses in football. They're even worse than probably the Houston Texans at this point. And because of that, because the Titans are going up against the best defense in football, or one of, if it's not Houston, it's probably going to be Denver, one of the two best defenses in football, this is just a tough matchup for the Titans. I don't think they're going to be able to score much points. And I think for Houston, can you get me 3 touchdowns? Or not even 3 touchdowns. Can you give me 20 points? 20 points, maybe even 17 points. If you can give me that, I think Houston's going to win. By the way, I wouldn't be surprised if Houston's defense is responsible for some of those points. So Mills, Stroud, I don't think it matters. I think the Texans defense wins this game for them. Give me the Houston Texans in a kind of ugly game. Give me 20-10 in favor of Houston. Moving on, we have the Carolina Panthers going up against the Atlanta Falcons. For whatever reason, the Atlanta Falcons just struggle with the Carolina Panthers. They struggled with them last year. They got blown out early this year. And while I am hoping for change, I don't know if I'm going to get the change. Unfortunately, this Falcons team, it doesn't feel like they've made progress this year. It feels like they've gotten better in some ways, but have taken a step back in other ways. Defensively, they look a lot better. They can get after the quarterback a little bit. Their coverage is really nice. They can make some turnovers. But offensively, they're just as inconsistent as bad as what they were last year. Maybe a little bit more explosive, and maybe the passing game's a little bit better, but it just feels like this Falcons team can't use both their legs to take steps forward. It's one step forward, one step back, or it's just no steps forward, no steps back. I mean, this team is on pace for an 8-9, 9-8 record, which is kind of what they've been the past 5 or 6 years at this point. And going up against Carolina, a team in which they, for whatever reason, struggle with, maybe it's because they have Derek Brown, they can stuff the run, and, they can, I guess Carolina can run the football too. Maybe that's why. But I think Carolina could win this game. Now, look, I think Bryce Young needs a bounce back game, and he's had success versus Atlanta in the past. It would be really nice to see Bryce Young put things together and play well, because let's be honest, Bryce has not been incredible this year. And I thought last week he was part of the reason why the Panthers looked so bad last week. So I need Bryce Young to take a big step forward here, play a lot better, and I think he can do so. I also think Rico Dowdle looks incredible at running back, so I think they're going to be able to run the football quite well. And defensively speaking, they're actually a really solid defense this year, which is crazy to think about. Carolina being a good defense, definitely not something I thought was going to happen, but they've been good. Look, I got to give Carolina the win. They've been really good versus Atlanta, and I just think that Bryce Young is going to need that bounce back game. Could Michael Penix and the Falcons win? 100%. But I'm going to follow the trend here. Give me the Carolina Panthers to win this one. I'll say it's a closer game than their earlier matchup. I'll say 28-24 in favor of Carolina. Next up, we have an NFC North showdown between the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. So the Chicago Bears are riding a bit of a hot wave. I think they've won 6 of their last 7 or something along those lines. They're doing really good for themselves. That being said, I just made a Chicago Bears video a few days ago, and look, Chicago Bears are winning football games, but they're beating bad teams. I mean, they haven't had a single win versus a plus 500 football team, and they actually have a loss to the Baltimore Ravens, who didn't have Lamar Jackson. So Chicago's not one of these teams that's just, they're not like the New England Patriots, for example, where the Patriots have proven wins against the Buccaneers and the Bills. The Bears don't have that. And this week, they're going up against Minnesota, a team who they lost to in week 1, a game in which Chicago probably should have won that game until they let go of the rope in the second half and let JJ McCarthy, or number 9, I'm gonna say that's the end of my days, number 9 went out there and balled out for them. So look, it's gonna be a great chance for Chicago to bounce back and get that revenge win in a big NFC North showdown. Look, the Chicago Bears are tied for first place in the division. They're not too far away from being the leader. Like a Detroit Lions loss this week and Chicago Bears win, they would be number 1. And by the way, the Lions have a super tough matchup this week. So if you're Chicago, this is a huge game for you. As for Minnesota, this is also a pretty big game for you as well. In division matchup, you want to make sure you get some divisional wins. And look, frankly speaking right now, You're a 4-5 ball club. You lose this game, you're 4-6, and you're probably not making the playoffs. I mean, you'd basically have to win out to make the playoffs, and you don't want to have to be in that mode. So if you're on Minnesota, big time game here. And as I've said in a lot of other videos, these in-division games in the regular season are always tough to judge. We saw it last week where Miami was able to beat the Buffalo Bills. We saw the Minnesota Vikings defeat the Detroit Lions a few weeks ago. That could happen here. With all that said, I think the Chicago Bears are going to win this one. I think Kyle Monangai is going to be able to run the football. I think Ben Johnson's going to have a great game plan set up with Caleb Williams, get the ball out of his hands, get the ball to the playmakers. And while Minnesota is going to have success, I don't know if they're going to be able to put a ton of pressure on Caleb. And if Caleb can withstand any of the pressure that might get through, which he typically can, I think he's going to find some big plays available down the field. I feel like Minnesota, in order to get after Caleb, is going to probably have to send an extra body, which might open a bit more up in the run game and passing game too. So we'll see if that ends up happening. I am going to go with the Chicago Bears to win this one. I just don't trust JJ McCarthy right now. I just don't trust him. He makes bad mistakes down the field. He's inaccurate at times, and he's a young quarterback figuring his stuff out. And unfortunately, Minnesota is a team that really cannot afford to waste their time with a young developing quarterback. So we'll see what happens this offseason. Give me the Chicago Bears to win this one. I think the Bears win a sort of, I guess a rock fight would be the best way to describe it. I'll say 26-23 game-winning field goal or game-winning drive from Caleb Williams. Chicago wins this game. Next up, we have the LA Chargers going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I've bet on the Jaguars a couple times in these predictions videos, and it feels like every time I bet against them, they win. But every time I bet for them, they lose. Like I bet that the Jaguars were going to beat the Texans last week, and I felt great through 3 quarters until Davis Mills decided to be Patrick Mahomes and score 20 points in the 4th quarter. So look, I just can't trust this Jaguars team. That's the bottom line. I like this defense. I think there's some things going on there, but they're pretty banged up on the offensive end. Travis Hunter, BTJ, all those guys. Their run game is a little bit hit and miss. And look, I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is this guy that can take a team out of the mud to win a football game. And going against the Chargers, who have a really good defensive system with Jesse Minter, with a lot of really good personnel. And yes, I know their offense is banged up. Yes, I know they're without Hampton, Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater, all the guys on the offensive line. I get that. But Justin Herbert's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in football. And even with a bad offensive line, and even with pressure on what feels like every single play, he is still making some incredible throws. And the Jaguars, they have some dudes that can get after the quarterback, but I wouldn't necessarily call them like a super disruptive defense. Like they're not going to completely annihilate Justin Herbert. So because of that, I do think Herbert will find some success on the offensive end. And this Chargers defense is going to have a pretty, I don't want to say easy job, but they're going to have a simple task of just slowing down this Jaguars offense, which hasn't really been the hardest thing to do. So with that all said, I think the Chargers win this football game. I think it's close. I think this game comes down to the 4th quarter. I don't know if it's a game-winning drive, but I think it goes deep into the 4th quarter. I think the Chargers win this game, though. I'm going to go Justin Herbert having a really big game, 3 touchdowns, over 250 yards. Lawrence, I think he'll have a good game too. 200 yards, a touchdown or 2, maybe an interception thrown in there. Maybe the turnovers play a factor, penalties play a factor. Give me the Chargers to win this one, though. I'll have the Chargers winning this game 27-21 in favor of LA. Next up, arguably the game of the week, or one of, there's a couple of them. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Buffalo Bills. A few weeks ago, this game would have felt a little bit bigger, but ever since like week, I don't have the exact number in my head, but like week 7 or 8, the teams have just kind of not been as good as we thought they were going to be. At one point, Tampa Bay was on top of some people's power rankings, and the Buffalo Bills were on top of my power rankings early into the season. But as we all know, the Bills have struggled a little bit more on the offensive end. They've had some injuries defensively. Keon Coleman has not been the big guy they wanted him to be, and so that's been tough. And if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you've lost Bucky Irving, you've lost Mike Evans, you've had Chris Godwin go down, offensive line issues. They've just been so banged up on the offensive end. And while the Bucs defense is good, they're not good enough to win most football games. So it's been tough for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It really has been. And for Buffalo, they really haven't been terribly injured. I mean, they've had some injuries defensively for sure, like Ed Oliver, Michael Hope, et cetera, but offensively, they've been fine. But the offense just hasn't been great so far this year. I feel like Josh Allen has regressed a little bit in terms of, falling into some of his worst habits, big play hunting, not just taking the easy stuff, holding onto the ball a little too long, forcing the ball into windows, all that sort of stuff. They haven't been able to run the football as effectively. And against Tampa Bay, look, you won't be able to run the football that well because they got that dude Vita Vea up front, who's just a complete annihilator. And while I know he has a back injury, hopefully he's able to go in this game because they're going to need him to play well in this one. Look, this is a tough one to predict because Buffalo is a team that will play up to competition. We just saw them a few weeks ago play really good versus the Chiefs, and in a lot of ways, I don't want to say dominated, but they handled the Chiefs. But then they lose to teams like the Miami Dolphins last week. So it's been kind of a roller coaster this year. I just trust Baker right now a little bit. I don't want to say I trust him more than Josh Allen. I don't think that's what I'm trying to say, but I just trust this offense a little bit more. And defensively speaking, I do think these defenses are about evenly matched, but I think the Bucks specialize in run defense. I think that'll slow down James Cook a little bit, make life a little bit harder for Josh Allen. The secondary for Tampa Bay is pretty good this year, so give me the Buccaneers to win this game. I think we get a fun back and forth ball game where Baker Mayfield looks good, Josh Allen makes some plays, but when it comes down to it, I think the Bucks get up a little bit early and the Bills have to play from behind, and they can make the comeback for sure, but without the ability to be balanced because they're going to have to force the ball downfield. I think a turnover or two allows the Bucks to win this game. So give me the Buccaneers to win. I'll go pretty high scoring. I'll say 31-27 in favor of Tampa Bay. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think every single Baltimore Ravens fan is going to be a fan of Cincinnati this week. I don't think there's a single Ravens fan that wants to see the Pittsburgh Steelers win this one because look, Pittsburgh loses this game, the Ravens make up a little bit more ground, and I mean, we're having the conversation of what, 6 or 7 weeks left in the season, and potentially the Ravens could make their way on top of the AFC North. Everything said, we did see this game a few weeks ago, and the Bengals looked pretty good in that game, man. They looked pretty good. That was sort of the Joe Flacco showing off game, and Rodgers looked good in that game too. The Steelers offense looked really good as well. With that said, we're now, 3 weeks into this Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins experience, and it's been really good. They've been able to get 30-plus points every time, and I know this Bengals defense is trash. I know they're trash. They're horrendous. For whatever reason, it's crazy to say this, I have more faith in an offense that has Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, more so than I have faith in an offense that has Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and Jalen Warren. I just think there's more playmakers. I think there's more things available for this offense. And as we all know, nobody can stop Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, not even Jalen Ramsey and Joey Porter Jr. Those guys can't stop them. It's just impossible. Whereas on the other side, look, DK is going to get some things. They're going to be able to open things up with Roman Wilson. They'll run the ball probably pretty well because the Bengals defense sucks. But all it takes is 1 or 2 turnovers or just a couple punts, and this Bengals offense is going to score a lot of points. So this game could be Pittsburgh's game. Pittsburgh could get revenge. The defense could ball out. But based off what I've seen, this Bengals offense is hard to stop, and this Steelers defense, outside of the Colts game, has been just not great. They just haven't been great. So I got the Bengals winning this one, man. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I think it's back and forth. Maybe a turnover or a sack or something happens that it lets the Bengals win. Give me the Bengals in a 37-32 ball game. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Arizona Cardinals. So we don't have a firm confirmation that Purdy's going to play, but he's limited in practice, and we're hearing that he's probably going to start. So Purdy's back, well, at least we think. Ricky Pearsall, I think, is also going to be back. We've seen Juwan Jennings. We've seen some of these other guys. The offense for San Francisco looks like they're finally getting healthy, and frankly, at a really good time. Now, defensively speaking, they're without their guys. This is not going to be a defense that's going to get a lot of stops, but the Cardinals are not going to be a high, potent offense. The San Francisco 49ers, while they may not be able to stuff the run at an elite level or get after the quarterback, they are able to still make a couple plays. This defense is not completely bad. And with Brock Purdy back in the mix, yes, there will be a little bit of rust, but I trust Purdy. I trust this offense. I think they'll make some plays. We'll see what Arizona's defense looks like with all the injuries they have. If they're banged up, Will Johnson, the guys up the middle, Max Melton, all those guys, if they're not 100%, then I do think San Francisco's got a good chance of winning this one. With that said, if the Arizona Cardinals defense is healthy enough and the offense is going, I think Arizona has a chance to win this one. This is a really important game for the 49ers, especially if they want to continue to make a push to potentially win the division, because Seattle and LA, a game we'll talk about next, are both 7-2 and both are in the front running for this division. That's going to be a huge game, by the way. I'm excited to talk about that one. But if San Francisco want to keep their name in the hat, they got to win this one. So with that all said, I got San Francisco winning this game. I think they're going to put a lot of eggs into this basket. It's a big game, divisional game. It's going to be tough. Won't be easy, but give me the San Francisco 49ers to win this one. I think the Niners win. I think some mistakes are made on both sides. I just trust Christian McCaffrey, Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, all those guys. George Kittle as well being there is huge as well. I think they'll run the football well. I think the passing game will be better, if not kind of similar to what Mac Jones was able to do. And I think defensively, can you give me a turnover? Can you give me one? And I think they can win the game. So give me San Francisco to win this game. Give me 24-20 in favor of San Francisco. Next up, maybe the game of the week, although we have a couple other big bangers here in a second, but Seattle versus the LA Rams. For starters, let's just give it up to them. I want to give a huge round of applause to both Seahawks fans and Rams fans, because if you're asking me today, who are the best teams in the NFC? It's probably one of those two. I know Philadelphia's in the mix still. I know Detroit's still in the mix, and ironically, both those teams also play later in the week. We'll get to that one here in a second. But the Seahawks and the Rams, to me, have been the two best teams and maybe the most consistent teams in the NFC. The Seahawks offense has been incredible. JSN has been a revelation this year. The run game, while not really efficient, has been, still working. They're such a balanced football team, and they have one of the best defenses in football. And on the flip side, you look at the LA Rams. Stafford's playing at an MVP level. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, those guys have been perfect for each other. The run game has been good. The offensive line has been able to hold up. And defensively, they can get after the quarterback. They may not have the best secondary in the world, but it's a quality enough secondary. These are two really complete ball clubs. And if you tell me the Seahawks make the Super Bowl or the Rams make the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be surprised. I think these are two excellent football teams. That's what makes it tough to predict. I mean, to me, this is a coin toss game. It is a complete coin toss, because I can't say, oh, I trust Stafford more than Darnold, which if he said that 5 years ago, that'd be crazy to say. But Darnold is also playing at a borderline MVP level. Like, he's a Pro Bowler. He's going to be potentially in the All-Pro conversations. He's also having a sensational year. You can't say, oh, I trust Puka and Devontae more than JSN and Shaheed. JSN is maybe the best receiver in football this year. So I can't say that. You can't say, oh, I trust one offensive line more than the other. I think their offensive lines are pretty similar to one another. And defensively speaking, I mean, it's just really close. This game, to me, it's just going to come down to an offensive head coach going up against a defensive head coach, and which one can outplay the other. I think this is going to be a fascinating, and I mean a fascinating game. I don't know who's going to win. I hate that I have to give you this answer. I don't know. I think it's a coin toss game, but I'm going to ride the team that I have been high on the entire season, and I knew coming into the year they were going to be this good. I'm going to go with the Rams. I thought Seattle would be a great football team, but I didn't think they would be this good. I felt like the Rams were going to be this good. So I'm going to go with the Rams to win. I don't know what the decision factor is, like what makes me think the Rams are going to win more than Seattle. If there's anything, it's just that I have so much faith in Stafford with his experience and with all the guys that are working on that side of things. I think they can maybe win this game. And I also think they're going to be able to run the football a little bit better than Seattle. I don't think either ground game is going to be particularly good, by the way, this week. I'm thinking both might go for under 100 yards rushing the football. But if I were to trust one back more, I would just trust Kyron to take what's there. Whereas with Seattle, I would expect a heavy dose of Charbonnet. That's what I would expect. I don't know if this is a Kenneth Walker game, but who knows? One big Kenneth Walker run can change it all. I think Kyron's going to have the better day, though. So I guess that's maybe the swing factor. It's 51 to 49%. I don't know who's going to win this one. Give me the LA Rams. I'll say 27-26 in favor of LA. Next up, another banger of a game, the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Denver Broncos. So look, there has been a lot of criticism on Bo Nix, and frankly, rightfully so. Bo Nix has not played well this season. I think that's pretty fair to say. I think even unbiased Broncos fans that are objectively, looking at what he's done would agree that Bo hasn't been what they maybe were hoping he would be. Not saying he's been bad, but there have been games where he's quiet for 2.5, 3 quarters and then just wakes up in the fourth and plays magical, or he's just not good for most of the game. And that inconsistency really does scare me, especially in this type of game where Kansas City is a team that has flaws. They're not a perfect team, but they're really tough. They are a really tough and physical team that can get after the quarterback a little bit. Their secondary is really good. They have two incredible linebackers. And I have a tough time predicting that this Broncos offense is going to be able to score enough points. Now, the Broncos defense, I think, is going to really affect this Chiefs offense because the Chiefs can't run the football, and they did not make a move for a running back at the trade deadline. They're not going to be able to run the football the rest of the season. So it's going to be squarely on Patrick Mahomes to make plays. And Mahomes, of course, will make enough plays to score a couple points. So we don't know if Surtain's going to go. It doesn't sound like he's going to go. And I don't really know if they need him necessarily in this game because, yes, having Surtain out there to cover Worthy and Rashee Rice and Kelsey would be great. But I don't really know if Surtain's superpower is like handling these really fast receivers. Like, you want Surtain going up against AJ and CD and Chase and those sort of guys, right? Rice and Worthy are just a different style, and so is the Chiefs' style of offense. So I actually think guys like Jahdae Barron and McMillan could have a lot of success in this game because they're fairly athletic, they're smart players, and you're going to see a lot of crossing routes and, plays to get everything kind of messy. Like, one of the things the Chiefs do a really good job of is use the playmaking strength of Patrick Mahomes. Get him rolling out the pocket. Let him run around and do some things. And that's what they do. And that's what makes it so difficult for defenses to slow down the Chiefs offense, is because it's hard to cover these guys. When you got Mahomes running around for 5 seconds in the backfield, extending plays, and you got to cover these guys for not 1, not 2, not 3, 5+ seconds at times. Like, that's impossible. So it's tough. With everything said, I don't trust either offense a ton, but I trust Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to predict the Chiefs to win this game. They are the established football team. And by the way, this is a huge game for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 5-4. The Broncos are 8-2. The Chargers are still in the conversation as well. If you lose this game, you're going to be 5-5. Realistically speaking, I don't know if 10-7 makes the playoffs this year in the AFC. I don't know if it does. So you are going to have to basically win out or lose one game at most. And they have some tough matchups ahead for them. So big time game here for the Chiefs, and for the Broncos, a huge game too. If the Broncos can win this one, you get a chance to not necessarily kick out the Chiefs, but give yourself a chance to kick them out later in the season. I'm going to predict the Chiefs to win. I just trust them. They have that championship DNA still in them. I don't think the Chiefs are going to make the Super Bowl this year, at least not yet. I don't have that prediction made yet, but they have enough flaws where I'm a little worried about them. Give me the Chiefs to win a lower scoring game. I'm going to say 24-18 in favor of the Chiefs. Next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Cleveland Browns. All right, deep breath in, everyone. 2 back-to-back bangers. We're going to talk about another banger here in a second. This one is quite easy to predict, though. The Browns offense sucks. They just do. And the Ravens offense, while they haven't been great since Lamar Jackson's been back, they've been functional, and that's good. And I think versus this Browns defense, that's all you really need. Can you give me 25 points, 24 points? If you can give me that, I feel good about predicting the Ravens here. With that said, the Browns have given the Ravens some trouble in the past. We saw them earlier in the season. Yes, the Ravens won, and the final score was pretty, but the game was quite ugly. And we've seen that Ravens team struggle at times with things like that. But the Browns can't score. They just can't. I don't know if Shador gets playing time this game. I don't know if it's Dylan the whole way. They can't score points. They cannot get over 17. So with that said, with the resurgence of this Ravens defense, with Lamar back in the fold, I got the Ravens winning this one. I think they put a beat down on them a little bit. I think they try to make a bit of a statement. Maybe it's one of those games kind of similar to their first game where close-ish first half and then they start to blow them out in the second half. I got 34-14 in favor of the Ravens. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, deep breath in, deep breath out. We had 2 tough games earlier to predict. This one's another really tough one. Look, the Lions need a win here. This is a huge game for the Detroit Lions. You lose this game, you lose grip in the NFC North, and they really cannot afford that. Philadelphia, look, they've been so up and down this year, and so has Detroit, by the way, but especially Philadelphia. One week, Philly looks impossible to beat. The next week, they look very beatable. And they looked very beatable versus the Green Bay Packers. I just don't know what to think about them. Now, the Eagles have proven to me that they could win games in a variety of ways. They can win shootouts, they can win passing games, they can win running games, they can win defensively. They have shown that ability, and they still have that championship DNA. I think the Lions are going to play with a desperation and a fire in them that's going to allow them to stay in this one and potentially win it. I think Goff has to play well. And the Eagles defense is really good. They can get after the quarterback. They're good in the secondary. They got some good linebacker play. The young guys are playing a lot better now. It feels like this Philly Eagles defense has taken that big step forward that we wanted to see them take. But I just feel like the desperation, the run game, the Amon-Ra St. Brown factor is going to open up this offense and open up the defense for Philadelphia to where Philly can't stack the box. Because they can't stack the box, the ground game gets going a little bit more. I think the Lions will find success. On the flip side, I also think the offense for Philadelphia will find more success this week because of all the injuries to the Detroit Lions defense. I think A.J. Brown has a nice game. I think Smitty has a good game. I think Goddard makes a couple plays. I think Saquon plays well too. I feel like this is going to be sort of a back and forth game where one team gets up 7-0. The team responds. Another touchdown. Like, it's just sort of a back and forth game where it's just going to be about taking care of opportunities. When a team goes 3 and out, can the opposing team take care of business? When there's an interception or a fumble, can the other team take care of business? It's tough to predict. It's kind of a coin toss to me. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions, though. That fight, that anger, that frustration. Get this game over with. Get your division lead on and make some plays. So give me the Detroit Lions to win this one. I'll say 26-23 in favor of Detroit. And lastly, the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll keep this one pretty short and sweet. The Cowboys are coming off a bye. They're getting a lot more healthy defensively. We're going to see Quinnen Williams suit up, Logan Wilson suit up. I think DeMarvin Overshown should be back, and Savone Ravel back, which we'll see what he looks like. But this Cowboys defense could really start to, turn up a little bit and play a little bit better. Las Vegas is not a great offense, but we've seen bad offenses play well versus this Cowboys defense. I do think the changes to this Cowboys defense will help them out significantly. I think they'll be able to stuff the run a lot better. And against the pass, if Savone Ravel is who they drafted him to be, I think that'll definitely help them out too. I think Brock has a big game. I think he just will, but I don't know if Genty's going to be able to do a whole bunch. The Cowboys are an opportunistic defense, especially Deron Bland. Maybe 2, maybe a 3 interception game from Geno. Dak is playing well. I think Dak in this offense is going to dominate. That said, Max Crosby is going to be an absolute menace. I would suggest keeping a tight end to Chip and all that sort of stuff. I think the Cowboys offense gets really going in this game. The Raiders defense is not good at all. Dak, CD, Pickens, Ferg, all those guys. I think they play well. I think the Cowboys win this one comfortably. I'll say 31-17 in favor of Dallas. So as you guys can see, this is my Week 11 predictions. The New Orleans Saints and the Colts are on bye. Hopefully they can get a little bit more healthy. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And hit that like and subscribe button. Road to 20,000 subscribers. Love you guys. Peace.